I was just going to say that I feel it's the reason why you see the footprint of organizations like Rosicrucian and Masonic and Illuminati themed kind of, is because they're more consciously involved in the occult and the esoteric. So being more like coming from that angle, being involved in these forces that are closer to the source, makes your work in whatever capacity it is, a building or a symbol or a logo for your company, makes it unconsciously, but also consciously. I mean, they're consciously intending it, but there's a greater force that works through them because they're magicians.
Absolutely right, yeah, absolutely right.
And then they might not necessarily be aware of all the facets of what they're doing. So that's where I'm just trying to get the impression across that even if you're seeing, an Illuminati type themed event like perhaps 9/11 was, I say perhaps because I'm not sure, I still feel like there are parts of it that are too gigantic and beautifully orchestrated for it to be a conscious bit by the individuals who perpetrated it.
Interesting. I mean, I can take a recent example here also in a kind of an event or symbolic happening that is connected in an interesting way. I'm talking about the signing of what they call
oh my goodness, wasn't that beautiful?
Wasn't it? Yeah, the Lisbon Treaty. Please.
I was absolutely aghast. I mean, absolutely beautiful, wasn't it? I mean, here we are in this sort of 16th century monastery on land that was owned by the Knights Templar. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Sorry, go on, Henrik.
Oh no. I was just going to give a little bit of background for those who don't know here. This is.
I don't know.
I can tell you then, Jake. This is the signing of the Lisbon Treaty. This is basically this is the new / old EU constitution that didn't went through in 2005 because the French and Dutch voted it out basically. But this is the signing now they did here on I think 13th December, which is an interesting date, by the way.
Isn't it just?
Yeah, I mean, we up here in Sweden actually celebrate something called Lucia. This is kind of a festival of light, a little bit like that, pretty interesting. And this takes place in something called Geronimo's Monastery, and this was built by Manuel I of Portugal, as a member of the Avis royal dynasty, or the Avis house. And as Bad pointed out here, this is where the Order of Christ, the Portuguese branch basically of the Knights Templar, had their hermitage, and this is basically where all the EU leaders are speaking about this, and then later they're posing outside for a photo shoot under Henry the Navigator, basically. So I mean, and this monastery or monastery, where Mary, the Star of the Sea, and maritime symbolism, is rampant all over the building. I mean,
absolutely rampant. Yeah.
This is no accident, right?
Absolutely no accident whatsoever. I mean, entirely exclusively conscious. It's so symbolic. And it's in your face. Totally what they're trying to do is precisely what their friends back in the 13th century tried to do anyway. 13th and 14th century. Because if you look at the Knights Templar, one of the things which they were most interested in actually achieving was a United States of Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So again, all this is taking place, and unbeknownst to many people, they have no clue. It's like it's just a nice place. But again, there's a message here, as you say, because this was something they tried to achieve way back, and here I guess this is a very obvious thing for those who know the symbolism or can at least go on Google and do a few search, put in a few keywords, basically.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that these people are definitely, sending each other coded messages and using, significant dates and stuff like that. They're obviously very aware of that. Yeah. I keep trying to put an emphasis in my work on something that is even beyond and higher than that, because I feel like it tends to suck people into seeing every event around them is orchestrated by the Illuminati. There's this huge paranoid conspiratorial thing happening, and I just don't believe at all that human forces are in the end that powerful, no matter how impressive and how well orchestrated their deeds. There's this, because I look at synchronicities all day in movies and stuff like that, things which couldn't possibly, in my view at least, be put there consciously by a director or by, because they only work when viewed non-locally. Some synchronicities, this movie was made before the event, this movie was made by a director who wasn't aware of this movie yet, and then you notice there's this pattern going through it, and I feel like that force is above and beyond any conscious human force, and I try and put an emphasis on that because, I don't know, I just feel like people get very paranoid and there's this fear aspect to it, and I think these human forces are small in comparison to this bigger force.
Is it, I mean, is there a clear line? Because I hear what you're saying there, and it seems to be, this is, obviously a case-by-case issue, and you have to look at all things and what actually pops up, but I guess there is no kind of clear line on what is conscious and what is unconscious doing, I guess.
Yeah, because in the end, to me at least, in the end, the ground of all being is consciousness, pure, like consciousness that, and out of that arises all forms, and therefore, even if, a human being is conscious of what they're doing, underneath that, it's still the will of the universe. We all surrender to God, in a way, in every moment of our existence. And I feel like that, when you're seeing a diabolical plan by the Illuminati and by the Knights of Malta and by all these people, that is still your will and the will of the universe in some way. It looks like chaos from a small perspective, but from, seen from far enough, it's like there's this beautiful pattern, and I think this evil force at work on the earth, or as it's perceived, is just part of something beautiful and bigger, and will eventually come into balance, and then it won't. But personally, I find it all very.
Ben, I would like to ask you. I mean, you've been looking actually quite at a few murders that actually have been going on recently, or kind of horrible events where actually names and things like this are connected. And I mean, when you're working with this kind of material, Ben, do you see what Jake see here, or do you feel that this is, something very planned and detailed, even down to the names of the people involved here?
Yeah, I mean, I see things very similarly to Jake, only, sort of my, overall perspectives, I suppose, are rather less optimistic. Sort of certainly I believe in a transpersonal force, sort of which is, working through people rather than exclusively focusing on sort of, purely human forensic conspiracies. But I tend to sort of characterize that force as something sort of more akin sort of to sort of David Icke's reptilians. Sort of hence something deeply negative. Something something sort of truly malevolent, and not all powerful, by any stretch of the imagination, but something which will take some beating.
I see what you mean, and these. I find some of your latest article there, Ben, very, very interesting and very, detailed in that sense, and it really goes into all of the connections with the names and things like this.
Yeah, great, thank you. Well, what I'm finding happening, of course, and this is something which you will find. This is something Jake finds, I'm sure, as well. But it's a journey, isn't it? It's something which you learn more and more about the sort of more you do it. So, of course, now I'm starting to feel more in control of the material and so on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, do you feel that there is a sinister plot behind all of this? I mean, or do you feel that there is kind of a well, again, we return to that idea that there is an overarching message, or someone want to communicate something here on a whole other level,
Oh yes, absolutely. Something and someone is communicating, and I'm sure Jake could agree. Only, possibly Jake may feel that it's rather more positive than I do.
Jake, I would like to ask you. When you were over and visiting Ben and things like this, where did you guys talk about your work and kind of go over, where your work actually connects and where it doesn't? We talked a little bit about that, but I mean, there is some common ground here, I guess, in your work, and someone who's coming from the outside, I guess, and aren't so familiar with the concept, would think that your guys' work is very similar. Where do you think your work connects?
Where do I think it connects? Well, I think we're both very interested in, I would say, popular culture themes. We're into the esoteric, and but we want to compare it to, this is how I see it, to things that are happening in popular culture, in media that people consume. So it's sort of like you're trying to show that, to me, in my mind, this is what I try and do, and this is how I see Ben's work as similar. I try and compare occult, esoteric, metaphysical subject matters to the everyday and the mundane, and show that it's not mundane, that there are all these fascinating layers and levels underneath musicians and movies and everything that people consume every day.
Ben, would you agree?
I think so, generally. I mean, sort of points of contact between me and Jake, I think, are really more than the points of divergence. But but what will always happen when you get two strong creative personalities together is that you will want to, in some subtle way, sort of dominate the other and have a kind of, sort of minor sort of ego tussle.
Did you guys?
But I don't see anything wrong with that necessarily. I think that's quite a sort of healthy and fun thing, so long as it's understood that we're really just playing.
Sure. I mean, did you guys, when you got together, kind of, did you feel like you learned something from each other and can kind of borrow ideas and borrow concepts from each other and kind of see that, okay, I can go this way and expand on my ideas in this way, or anybody want to pick up on that?
Certainly I think I borrowed some money from Jake.
I'm sure it was negligible. I don't even recall.
All right.
It was. I thought it was a wonderful opportunity, because when I do my work, I really am isolated from meeting people who are actually even interested really in what I do, because in my personal life, my day-to-day life, there aren't that many people that I know, or the people who are doing their own work, like Ben, he's sitting in London, I'm sitting in Canada.
I know, isn't that great?
Right, to be able to be in the same room together and to, swap stories about our interpretations of what it's like to be blogging, and to have this strange new form of, I don't know, like, it's a strange, like, it's like I don't know, I think of it as micro fame. It's like, because people can now network all over the planet, it's like you can sort of have people recognize your work, but they're so spread out that you'll almost never see it, like in your personal life. Like, my life is very normal and very straightforward. I hang out with people. I don't discuss synchronicities and 9/11 for the most part in my day-to-day life. It's just something that's developed on the net, and because of this amazing network, it all comes together when you're on your computer. But being in the same room with Ben, I was able to, talk and even gossip a little bit about all the other people who are connected to the network of bloggers and stuff like that. So it was a wonderful opportunity. And of course we have differences in opinion when it comes to I don't know, nationalism, I'd say. We see things differently, but that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Ben, do you feel the same way there, that this is kind of something that is only happening online, so to speak?
Yeah, well, not exclusively, but sort of something which sort of Jake did mention there, which I'll just pick up on. But something which sort of did strike me as really quite a wonderful sort of situation was the fact that Jake is someone who I do not know really, in much the same way that Henrik, I don't know you, I don't know Frederick, but nonetheless, I'm here, I am in London, in Surrey, Great Britain, sort of talking to you over in Scandinavia, who's talking with Jake in North America. And sort of sharing things which are of vital importance, sort of to us, each other, and indeed hundreds, if not thousands, tens of thousands of people as well.